What is up, YouTube? It's VyPr Sports here, and today I'm going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard being traded to the Toronto Raptors. This is a very big and honestly unexpected trade that could really change the landscape of the Eastern Conference and maybe even the NBA over the next couple years. So without further ado, let's get into it. So in this trade, the Toronto Raptors are receiving small forward Kawhi Leonard and shooting guard Danny Green from the Spurs, and the Spurs are receiving shooting guard DeMar DeRozan, center Jakob Poeltl, and a 2019 protected first-round draft pick from the Raptors. And as a Raptors fan, this is a very crazy trade. I never expected DeRozan to be traded, especially to the Spurs, for Kawhi Leonard. And I kind of think it's a bad move because it's already hard enough to land stars in Toronto, but having a star that is loyal to you rarely is going to happen. I don't think it really will happen again, or at least for a long time. And Kawhi already has his heart set on the Lakers. It seems like he really doesn't want to be in Toronto, he just wants to be in LA, and that he'll probably end up being a one-year rental. Hopefully the culture in Toronto will change his mind on that though, and I think that there's a possibility that it will. But odds are, I think he's off to the Lakers after this season, and if that is the case, then I think this is a very big trader-esque move that the Raptors are pulling. DeRozan, a very loyal player, he loved the team, and you're just shipping him off for a one-year rental. That is not the best image to put out for your franchise, and it could steer away future stars from coming to Toronto in fear of the same thing happening with them. A lot of people are saying this is similar to the Paul George trade last year, but I find this to be... I see why people say it's similar, but I do see one big difference, and that is that Paul George never said he didn't want to play in Oklahoma City. He would always say that he's just going to come up with his decision when the time came, even though everyone kind of expected him to sign with the Lakers, but he didn't. He re-signed with the Thunder, and although he did, I don't think that this will be the case with Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be off to LA in a season, and the Raptors are going to be left with nothing. If he does stay, that would be great, but I'm expecting a one-year rental. But who knows, I may be surprised by this again. So now that we've talked about Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan, let's get into the other players who are in this deal. I like Toronto adding Danny Green. He's a very good player, and adding him to the team makes losing DeRozan not as bad as it would have been if another player from the Spurs, say Pau Gasol, was a part of this trade. He's a good 3-and-D wing, Danny Green, and he's probably going to end up starting at shooting guard for the Raptors. Now, Poeltl leaving the Raptors hurts the Raptors a little bit, but out of all the bench players who could have left the team, such as OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, I think Poeltl and Powell were probably the two guys who I was willing to give up the most. And Ibaka can play center in absence of Poeltl, and they may be able to promote someone from the Summer League or the G League team to fill this absence. And it also shows, to me, Nick Nurse and his confidence in Jonas Valanciunas to be the center for this team. Losing a first-round pick in this deal as well isn't the best move given Masai Ujiri's draft record over the past couple years, but if you're going to go all in on Kawhi Leonard, might as well include a first-round pick. So looking at the Raptors roster right now, we've got Kyle Lowry starting at point guard, Danny Green will probably be starting at shooting guard, Kawhi at small forward, Serge Ibaka at power forward, and Jonas Valanciunas at center. The bench is still great. Got Fred VanVleet, DeLon Wright, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, CJ Miles, and Norman Powell. And given this lineup, I think there's a possibility that the Raptors are going to be contenders if Kawhi plays well, which I think he probably will to keep his value up. I don't think he wants to be in a situation like DeMarcus Cousins was this offseason, where due to the liability of him with Cousins, his Achilles, and with Kawhi, him sitting out, I think a lot of teams would be a little suspect to sign him because of that liability. So I think he's going to try his best and hopefully play well. This deal also does add some cap flexibility for the Raptors, and it still lines up with our 2020 timeline that they've been doing. Lowry, VanVleet, and Ibaka are all free agents in 2020. Kawhi will be a free agent next season in 2019, but it still kind of lines up with that timeline, which I personally like. I also like the potential small ball lineup that the Raptors could run now. Last season they ran a really good lineup at the end of games with Lowry, VanVleet, DeRozan, Miles, and Ibaka, and they could do a very similar, but I think better lineup of this year, with Lowry, VanVleet, Green, Leonard, and Ibaka. I personally think that this could be a very interesting and very good lineup to watch, and this really all comes down to Nick Nurse and what he decides to do coaching-wise. So hopefully the change in coaching will improve things as well, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But let's see what Kawhi can do for this team. Overall, this is a very risky deal for both sides, primarily the Raptors, but it has potential to really benefit both sides as well. It really comes down to, will Kawhi stay with the Raptors? I think the Raptors this year have a possibility of making the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe even the NBA Finals. I don't think they could probably win the Finals this year, but if they make it, I think there's a good chance that they retain Kawhi Leonard. And it really comes down to his free agency decision. If Kawhi stays, then I think it will be a great deal. If he leaves, then I think this would be a bad trade that the Raptors just shouldn't have been involved with in the first place. So those are my thoughts on the Toronto Raptors trading for Kawhi Leonard. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts about the trade in the comment section below. I really want to hear what you guys think about it, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. This has been VyPr Sports, and I will see you guys in the next video.